From the BBC World Service, in association with ABC and All India Radio, this is Stumped.
Hello and welcome to Stumped, your intercontinental hit of news, features and debate from the quirky world of cricket. I'm Alison Mitchell and I'm in London, where I was at the annual Luncheon Awards of the Cricket Writers Club earlier in the week. That's the organisation that represents the media predominantly in the UK, but also abroad. So we dished out our annual awards, one of which was a trophy in memory of the late Bob Willis. It was for an England Player of the Year, and that went to Johnny Bairstow, who you're going to hear from later in the show as well. But we were very impressed that he turned up because he was on crutches after the nasty injury that he suffered not too long ago. Other award winners included Catherine Brunt. She was honoured for the longevity of her 18-year England career and the impact that she's had both on and off the field. But it's always a good lunch. Jim, you would approve. It started at midday and went on till about 11 p.m. after some of us had shifted onto a nearby pub. So a very convivial occasion to mark the end of the England season.
Well, man, he kicked you out because you run out of soft drink. Yeah.
Someone had to kick us out.
I'm sure someone kicked on, but it sounds like a good party. And I have to tell you that in Sydney, it's a good place for a party because there's no point going outside. It rains and it rains and it rains. And we're very close to the world record for Sydney for rain, which is about 1,600 mils in a year in 1860, I think. So sadly, that's affecting some cricket. But it didn't stop New South Wales from playing in Western Australia and losing a one-day game which took only 34 overs and then losing a Shield match which took less than 3 days. And a name out of that to look at, unusual name, Teague Wiley, 18-year-old from Western Australia who made 100. So think of Teague Wiley. Could be the next Ricky Ponting, so they say.
And I'm Sunil Gupta for All India Radio New Delhi, where I'm listening enviously to people defrosting cars in Manchester and Jim having a row and all that in Sydney. Right now, the first sort of very meek and shy tendrils of autumn are creeping in. We don't run the ACs mostly during the day now, so that's a blessing. But you're talking about new players, Jim. Well, we've just had the Irani Trophy match, which is the Ranji Trophy champions against the rest of India. And the rest of India obviously are upcoming stars. And there are three more who've been unearthed, who've been around, but have really displayed their wares. One is Sarfaraz Khan. He's hit his umpteenth century in the first-class game. And then there are two fast bowlers, Mukesh Kumar, who is a swing bowler. And the last one is Kuldeep Sen. You might have seen him in the IPL playing for the Rajasthan Royals. He picked up 8 wickets in that game of the Irani Trophy. And he's now one of the net bowlers being taken to Australia, as is Mukesh Kumar for the T20 World Cup. You'll hear a lot of these guys. Remember, I spoke about Surya Kumar Yadav. Well, really, he played very well in the ODI series that have just concluded with Australia and South Africa, which India won, incidentally, 2-1. But these are the new names that are coming up, and I am so happy to see some new names, new talent coming up here in India.
Yeah, it's great to always learn about new names to look out for. But what of some of those established names? And we're going to start the programme by talking about one of those because he's going to be missing from the Men's T20 World Cup for India. It's a huge blow that's been dealt. Fast bowler Jasprit Bumrah, one of the world's very best, ruled out of the tournament. So he's suffering with a stress fracture of the back, something which he felt come on just before India's recent T20 series with South Africa. He'd already missed the Asia Cup before that with a stress injury. That was on the other side of his back. This one is believed to be on the other side. Sunil, just go into the importance of Bumrah to the India side and the effect it'll have through him not being there.
You know, I was thinking of Bumrah and his bowling style, and you've all seen it, right? And to my mind, the sort of impression I get, or the image that comes in front of me, is a Picasso versus a Monet. So you have a Monet like James Anderson, you have Picasso, all angles, you know, and it was bound to happen. It happened a couple of years ago. He put so much stress on his back and the way that he comes and bowls and all the elbows flying everywhere. I'm surprised it hasn't happened more often. So that's one part of it. The other part of it is I firmly believe in, having come from the corporate world, that no one is indispensable. Yeah, he's a great fast bowler, no question about it. But no one is indispensable. And in fact, I always see this I remember when I was the corporate, I would say it's an opportunity for somebody else to step into those shoes. Right? Here's the biggest platform, the World Cup T20. What better? I've just given you two names, Kuldeep Sen and Mukesh Kumar. There's so many others. There's Shami there in the background. There's Siraj. There's so many of these that are there. They should pick up the mantle. I honestly do believe it's a blessing in disguise. I go back to, you might remember this, Ali, 2011, Zahir Khan in England. And he was taken there when he had a lot of problems with injuries. And he played in that first test at Lord's. He got injured in that test, couldn't have another bowler. I remember MS Dhoni coming in bowling because he didn't have another bowler. We don't want that to happen. We don't want him breaking down in the middle of the tournament. So yes, it's a blow, but it's not a devastating blow. I don't think it's a blow that India will not recover from. In fact, I think they can grow from strength to strength. We're seeing some new bowlers coming up. And frankly, I think now is the time for him and the selectors and the board to say, we need to monitor your workload. If and when you come back into cricket, don't play all the formats, right? You've got to be able to ensure that he's ready for only some of them, because he cannot take the strain. And he will not be the same bowler when he comes back, because, Jim, you'll know, it's somewhere there in the back of your mind. You know, I've got the stress fracture, and it's because of the action that I have, and so on and so forth. You're never going to be the same. At least I hope he will, but it's going to be very difficult.
India weren't, at their best at the Asia Cup. They're not managing to make the final, but they have beaten both Australia and South Africa in T20 series since then. So where do you think India are at then as a team, and now without Bumrah?
Oh, they're vulnerable, but, they need some of their established players to turn up a bit more. I think like Rohit and Kohli, Pant. I'm interested in what Sunil was saying, because Pat Cummins made a very strong point about the Australian team and the huge push we have going on here with Cameron Green to be a member of the squad. And Cummins made the point that, one of the reasons I'm playing now is that I was managed in the early part of my career, and they want to do the same with Cameron Green. So this is a fair issue in the game to consider when you look at the amount of cricket involved, and there has to be a way of keeping these players right for the big games, and that's what I've been writing today about this T20 World Cup. It's not a matter of being the best side all the time. It's being the best side when it matters. So we've got these issues around players, and India's resources at the moment are tested, but they won't be the only ones. So they'll be in the shake-up for sure. And to me, this kind of cricket in particular is always a raffle.
Well, another man who won't be featuring at the T20 World Cup in Australia this month is England star batter Jonny Bairstow. Bairstow won the Bob Willis Trophy earlier this week after being voted England's Player of the Year by the Cricket Writers' Club. And he received the trophy on crutches when he got up on stage at the annual lunch in London. He was also on this incredible sort of half wheelchair, sort of kneeling contraption to help him get around a little bit earlier as well. It was a great effort that he made to travel down to London. Bairstow made 6 Test centuries in 2022, including some incredible counter-attacking knocks. But he's now out of action for the rest of this year after what was a really nasty and freak injury, slipping on a steep tee box when he was playing golf and breaking his leg in multiple places. Well, I caught up with him a couple of days ago to ask him how he's doing in his recovery.
Yeah, it's only at the start of that cycle, really. So I had surgery 2 weeks ago. I went down to see the specialist a couple of days ago, and they were happy. So I've had my staples out and what have you. So in the coming days there'll be something that comes out, and I'll be able to update a few more people on exactly what I've done and timescales and know a bit more about it. So it's one of those that's a bit frustrating, because healing, you don't know how quickly some things heal, some things may not. There's setbacks and what have you, but it's just a setback in the grand scheme of careers, and you've just got to take it forward and look at it in a different way.
So you're not quite sure yet of time frame and how long it might be until you're able to come back?
It's definitely into the year. There's no doubts about that. It's unfortunately it's a rather large injury that was such a freakish thing that's happened. So we're definitely not looking at anything to do with 2022. It's definitely starting with the 2023, I'm afraid.
You have had an incredible year. I guess starting with your 100 in Sydney, which was a pretty sort of backs to the wall effort in, it's a really bright spot in an otherwise really difficult Ashes series for the team. Now the 100 in Antigua, but then the English summer. Can you identify, well, first of all, let's just keep it really simple. What was the part of the summer? Which innings, which moment did you enjoy the most?
I can't remember any of it. It's all a blur. Do you know what? Like, it's one of those summers that we'll remember as a group of people and I'm sure as a cricketing nation. And we'll look back and go, I remember the 2005 Ashes summer very, very fondly. And it's that kind of summer that then I was inspired by the guys in 2005 with the spectacle they put on, and I'm hopeful that we as a group of people have inspired the next generation, if you like to say, or however you want to put it, or even people that haven't played the game of cricket that have flicked on and we've entertained them. So to point out one thing, I don't think it's fair, and it probably wouldn't be one of the hundreds, to be honest with you.
What would it be?
Well, I just look at the shifts in which, from a vocal side of things, like from a way of going about it, from the approach that we've tried to go about it, we've been brave enough to speak about going towards the danger. We've won 6 out of 7 test matches this summer, which hasn't been done for a long, long time. So we must be doing something right. And we've been brave enough to take that challenge head on.
What do you like about Brendan McCullum and working with him and Stokes in partnership?
He's a hell of a bloke. A great guy. He's a good golf partner because his handicap should be less than what it is. Yeah, that's it's always a plus when you're playing on his team. I just think that the way in which he went about the game, and then how he's tried to empower people to play it, a game with freedom and bravery, is a different way of looking at Test cricket, which, like I mentioned, it's not going to work every single time. But I think that understanding that we're playing at the highest level and we've got to enjoy that rather than heaping a load of pressure on ourselves whilst we're doing it, which at times can be tricky to separate the two, is one thing. But then building that relationship with Ben as well. And the relationship is still building and will carry on to build. But the common vocals that they're speaking about all the way through the summer, I mean, you'll have said, I'm sure when you've spoken to both of them, they're both singing off the same hymn sheet. And the consistent messaging that's been there all the way through it is from both of them. So I think it's a very strong thing to have as a leadership pair. Because look, we weren't in a good place at the start of the summer as a group of players. As England cricket, we weren't really in an amazing bit, and it's actually quite interesting to hear the shift of people now speaking about Test cricket being stronger than white ball cricket. It's like, hang on a minute, then questioning things about the white ball team, and you're going, hang on a minute, like, oh well, yeah, it's not this strong, it's changed, we're in the transition. It's like, well, we're not really in a transition. Yes, Morg has stepped down from captaincy, but other than that, there's not many personnels that look like changes. The bowlers haven't been fit. We're missing 5 or 6 people from the white ball team that was we would have liked, but that's exactly the same as what happened in the red ball side. Like, there was 5 or 6 people missing in the red ball side that over a period of time that we'd have liked to have played, of course. So it's interesting how the shift then changes from side to side. But like I say, with Baz and Ben, the consistent messaging has been fantastic, and the buy-in from the boys has been brilliant too.
Johnny, give us a bit of insight then to finish with about what you're doing with your time when you're injured, because it's a challenging time for a cricketer who is used to being so busy all of the time. So how are you managing yourself?
To be honest with you, I'm currently sat on the ice machine at the moment. So that's going to be a huge part of my life over the next few months, to be quite honest with you. It's going to be a slow process with things. So this early stage is the bit that's going to be tricky, because you need to get all the healing right, and then you're able to go. And if you try and do things too early, then all of a sudden it affects things down the line. So I've got a few bits that I'm going to do, and a bit of a university course, and a few other bits, like hopefully.
Really, what are you going to study?
We're just doing it's a strategic leadership course that we're doing at the moment. So that kind of thing, and hopefully not get abused if I come down and see all of you guys this week. I'm excited to actually spend a bit of time at home because been fortunate over the last 12, 14 years that I haven't actually had a winter off at home. So you've got to try and take a positive out of a negative if you can do that. So spending a bit of time here with family, loved ones, see some of my friends that you don't get to see through the winter, transitioning from Australia to Pakistan to South Africa to wherever it may be.
Congratulations on the year that you've had and on winning the Bob Willis Trophy from the Cricket Writers Club.
Cheers. Thank you ever so much. And I really appreciate it and really excited to be back out there, and hopefully I do well, so you're writing good stuff and not the other stuff going forward.
Always good stuff. Well, that was Jonny Bairstow speaking to me as the Cricket Writers Club England Player of the Year, winner of the Bob Willis Trophy. He was speaking to me, lounged on the couch with his leg in its cast and his boot cast stretched out in front of him. He had his dog join him on the couch at one point as well. His mum was in the background, so not sure. I think he might have been at his mum's house. Jim, I know you were mightily impressed by Bairstow's form over the English summer, and it's a real shame for him and for England, isn't it?
Well, a shame for all of us, because we want to see the best players playing the game, and he'll be missed. I liked his commentary on Brendan McCullum. He said he inferred that he's instilled a freedom and bravery in the England team, and if that's the case, if they can maintain the momentum, consistency through all of this, then they're going to be a force even without him. But he had some serious grunt to the middle order, particularly in places where the boundary is easy to clear and the pitch is in good nick. So he'll be sorely missed in the next few weeks.
Well, that was all we've got time for on this week's Stump. So I'll say thanks to Jim Maxwell and to Sunil Gupta, and of course to you for listening, and we'll see you again next week. Bye for now.
From the BBC World Service, in association with ABC and All India Radio, this is Stumped.